It's your friendly math tutor, Miss C here, and today we are adding fractions with unlike denominators. So, as a reminder, when you add or subtract fractions, you have to have the same denominator, also called a common denominator, in order to add the fractions together. So, when we add fractions, our first step is going to be get a common denominator. So, let's go ahead and practice that on our first problem, and then we'll look at the steps that happen next. So I'm going to notice that my denominator here in 2 sevenths plus 3/14 is 7. My other denominator is 14. I know that 7 is a multiple of 14, which makes it reasonable to get a denominator of 14. So the question is, what do I have to multiply? And that is the key word when we're finding common denominators. We're essentially creating an equivalent fraction. And we do that through multiplication. So what number multiplied by 7 gives me 14? If you said 2, you're correct. So if I multiply 2 by 7, I get 14, which means our denominators would be the same. But if I only multiply the denominator by 2, I've now changed the value of my entire fraction, and I can't do that. So I actually am going to create an equivalent fraction by multiplying the numerator by the exact same number. So in math, we have the phrase, what you do to the denominator, you do to the numerator. That means that we just are not changing value. We're changing the way our fraction looks, because 2 divided by 2 is 1, which means we're essentially multiplying 2 sevenths by 1. Okay. And that's what we want to do every single time. So let's go ahead and simplify this. We have 2 times 2, which is 4. And in our denominator, we have 2 times 7, which is 14, which was our goal, plus 3 over 14. So now we can look at our denominators, and they are both 14, which means our denominators are now common. So what we do is then our next step is we keep our denominator. Okay, so our denominator is going to be 14, and then we add the numerators. Four plus 3, which is 7. Okay, so we have 7/14, but we're not quite done yet. We need to do one more step. We need to write our fraction in lowest terms, or in simplest terms. They mean the same thing. So I know that 7 goes into 14 2 times. So if I were to create another equivalent fraction, I could do that by dividing the numerator by 7 and dividing the denominator by 7. Anytime I'm doing the same thing, I'm creating an equivalent fraction. So 7 divided by 7 is 1. 14 divided by 7 is 2. So our addition of this 2 sevenths plus 3/14 gives us an answer of half. All right, let's do another one, and we're going to do the exact same process. So I'm noticing that I have 1/5 plus 2/8. 5 and 8 are not multiples of each other, so I need to find the least common multiple. What that means is I'm looking for the smallest number that both 5 and 8 go into evenly. Sometimes those numbers are really hard to find, so a trick that you could use to get a common denominator is you could multiply 5 by 8. In this case, that's 40. So you could say 40 could be your common denominator. So that works if you're not sure what the least common multiple is. That happens to be the least common multiple in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to multiply the denominator here by 8 because I'm going for a common denominator of 40. What I do to the denominator, I'm doing to the numerator. Because I'm creating an equivalent fraction, that means I'm essentially multiplying by 1. Okay, on this side, I'm going to be multiplying 8 by 5, right? Because I'm trying to make 40. What I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator. All right, let's go ahead and multiply. Remember, when we multiply fractions, we multiply straight across. 8 times 1 is 8, divided by 8 times 5, which is 40, plus 2 times 5 is 10, times 8 times 5, divided by 8 times 5, which is 40. So we're going to do a quick check. Our denominators are common. So now we keep our denominator. So we're going to write 40 here. And then we add our numerators. So 8 plus 10 is 18. Now, this is not in simplest form because I can see that these are even numbers. So at a minimum, both of these can be divided by 2. So I'm going to just start there because I don't see any other number that will go into both of these. So when I do that, I get 18 divided by 2, which is 9, 40 divided by 2, which is 20. So when we added 1/5 together with 2/8, we got a solution of 9 divided by 20. All right, our last problem is we have 3/4 times 9/11. So our first step is to get a common denominator, looking for the least common multiple again. And I think it's going to be 44. 4 times 11. I think the smallest number that they both go into evenly is 44. So I'm going to multiply this denominator by 11. What I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator. So I'm multiplying both of those by 11. On this side, I'm multiplying this by 4 because I'm trying to make 44 here. 11 times 4 is 44. What I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator. All right, so let's go ahead and simplify. So 11 times 3 is 33. 11 times 4 is 44. Plus 9 times 4 is 36. 11 times 4 is 44. So let's do a quick check. Is our denominator common? They're both 44. So we can rewrite our denominator as 44. So you're going to notice I'm not adding my denominators. That is actually a really common mistake. You keep your denominator when they're common. So 44. And now we add our numerators. So we are adding 33 and 36, which gives me 69 over 44. So I'm going to rewrite this as a mixed number because my numerator is bigger than my denominator. So 44 goes into 69 one time, and we end up with 25 being left over. That becomes my numerator over 44. So when I add these two numbers together, I get a sum of 1 and 25 44s. Now, if your teacher is okay with you leaving this as an improper fraction, you can certainly do that because that would be the lowest form of that fraction. But I think most people would like you to write this as a mixed number. So 1 over 25, or 1 and 25 divided by 44. All right, that is how you add fractions. Make sure to like this video if it was helpful for you. Till next time, remember, you've got this.